Okay, so let's talk about this accomplishment paper that you're going to write as your midterm exam. I'm going to talk a little bit about my expectations, my grading criteria, and how I'll give you feedback. And the reasoning behind this accomplishment paper is because I really want to know what you know and what you've been thinking throughout the semester, and how you can integrate the concepts that we've been talking about and how you've been processing them. And so this is a way that I have really gotten to know some of my students in the past and really what they're learning. I took this idea from one of my MU professors and kind of tweaked it a bit for our purposes here. And so if you look on the midterm exam page on our website, you will see all of these, all this information. Really, for a C, what you need to do is complete the course requirements and just give me a list of what you have been doing. And I am going to be showing you an example of what I have done in the past. And so here's my list, okay? Here's what I've done. I completed assignments and reading, so it's just very general. Initiated postings on weeks 1 and 4 in my role as a group leader, all of that, and then I actively participated. Very, very general. And then you need to obviously use correct English and all of those things. Write your resources in APA, which I'll talk about that in just a minute. And then the other thing you need to do is write your 3 aha moments. And these are those things that going through the semester you were like, oh my goodness, I just realized that I need to do this, or I see the value in what we were talking about here. My thinking has changed here. So it's those big things that we've been talking about where now you see value and you see what you need to do. Those are your aha moments. The other thing that you are going to supply in your paper is a table of small group and large group discussion posts, the number, and I am not necessarily looking for a huge number. I think quality is much better than quantity, but if you're only posting 2 times to your small group, that's a problem because I know that you are not engaged in conversation with your group members, and so it's better for me, it's easier for me if I can see how many you're doing because I will be reading them all, but it's better for me to see it in a table here. So you'll do something similar to this. It doesn't have to be exactly that. But then, so you have to do all that for your C level. For B level criteria, I don't want you to just tell me about your aha moments. I want you to actually refer to the content of your readings. So if I'm going to be referring to our textbook, I will say in the textbook with Mary Lou Fuller and Olson, in chapter 3 I read about blah 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 and it made me think that I need to, and then fill in the blank. Make sure I see those connections to your reading, to your small group discussions. So you're going to be analyzing and evaluating those things. You're going to be telling me how it's changed your thinking. So in my paper over here, if you can see, I wrote and connected between the readings I had done, the small group discussions. So my first aha moment occurred during week 1 in my adamant defense of literacy as a broadly ill-defined phenomenon, blah, blah, blah. And then I said, until my position was challenged by Paul, and then I quote our small group discussion and what date it was. I had never really had to define my stance or justify my beliefs, and then my beliefs have developed over the course, okay? And then down here, I quote, well, I don't quote somebody, I just refer to something I had read, okay? And then I refer to another thing I had read, but I talk about my thinking, because right here I say, however, I now define literacy as so much more. Okay, so I talk about my reading, I talk about small group discussions, I relate that and connect it to my reading. Okay, and so I do that for all 3. These are my aha moments, all 3 of those. Okay, so you need to have those for B criteria. Connect those to the reading and your discussions. And then for an A, this is really reserved for excellence. You're going over and above. You don't just do the bare minimum on your projects. You actually take that next step. You take initiative to pursue topics of interest. So if someone in one of the special topic group presentations, if you find something that is interesting to you, you actually go in and try to find more stuff about it. You do more research. Pursue ways to be an accomplished teacher who really supports their students and the families in your class. So you're going to describe topics you wanted to know more about, what you did. You're also going to, talk to other people about it. Ask your peers, ask your cooperating teachers if you're out in the field, ask other professors. So just to be involved in the conversation, to pursue things that you want to know more about. So in my paper over here, okay, so there's my third aha moment. And then I list things that I've done. I have gone above and beyond the call of duty in several ways in the first 5 weeks. I've suggested, so if you suggest other things in your small group discussions for other people to look at that you have researched, that's a good way to go over and above. Then I tell what I did, articles and websites. I also have suggested other technologies that I use in my own teaching. Okay, so then I tell other things that I've done and that I actually shared in my small group. That's how I went over and above. But you can also say things like, I talked with my roommate about this and she said that, fill in the blank, okay? I have also suggested or investigated several other sources suggested by small group members. So not only did I go out and find my own other things, I also went and looked at other things that my small group members had suggested that I do. We are all connecting the dots, okay? So I'm connecting what I'm learning in class to what I'm doing my research on, to what other people have suggested. All of these are connecting those dots. Okay, and then the final thing that you need to do for a B or an A is do a reference page. And I know that APA is somewhat challenging. I do totally understand that. But I have included a really great reference over here. This APA right here manual. This is a very, very good. They keep it up to date. It's actually the online writing lab at Purdue, and I know probably all of you have heard of that, but they give you really great tips and ways to cite APA correctly. I'm not going to be overly strict on APA, but you need to get into the habit of knowing how to reference things, because if you're going to be a classroom teacher, writing about what you're doing, publishing, if you're going to be a grad student eventually, but just to do it correctly for copyright issues and fair use guidelines. And so that's really important. So include a references section. It does not have to be this lengthy. This was a grad class I was taking, so just know that. So that is really how you get an A. You go over and above. So I give you all of the information right here about what you do. If you have any questions about this, please post those on our Google Plus community so others can see them, and I invite all of the questions that you have, and hopefully this will help you get started and be more knowledgeable about the paper. I do suggest that you start early. Document your thinking, document your connections. If you suggest an article to people, make that note. I used to keep a Google document just open, available, and I would add the things that I contributed to the conversation, because sometimes it's hard to go back through the small group discussions and search for things that you did. It's easier if you have it all in one page for you. That's just a suggestion. That's not required. So hopefully this helps, and let me know if you have any questions.